My guests today are Kody Sale and Anthony Bertolino, who, of course, are representing Obol, really, which is all about scaling network infrastructure with the largest decentralized operator ecosystem in Ethereum, powered, of course, by distributed validators. We'll learn all about Obol today. Welcome to the show, Kody and Anthony.
Thanks, Andy. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you.
Hey, excited to chat, excited to give a good little story to your community.
Excellent. Well, let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, gentlemen. It's always nice just to get a brief introduction. So I'll get you to go in turn. Maybe, Kody, shall we start with you? Just give us the very, very quick background on yourself and, I guess how you ended up at Obol.
Cool. Yeah, so my background, like most people in crypto, didn't start in crypto. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. Got into Ethereum in 2017 after toying around with Bitcoin and realizing you can just hold it as a store of value and can't really do much besides that. And then, played around the Ethereum ecosystem, but didn't really start building until proof of stake was on the horizon. And I eventually built a little protocol called Smoothly, which is an MEV smoothing pool for solo stakers. And that's actually how I got introduced to Obol. Early on, just wanted to actually integrate DVs into the smoothing pool. And it actually never really actually came to fruition, but that's actually how I ended up at Obol, really getting into squad staking and recruiting some of the team to stake with me. So, now doing product marketing at Obol.
Thanks, Andy. My name is Anthony Bertolino. I've been full-time in Ethereum since 2017, like Kody. I originally discovered Ethereum when I was investigating a healthcare fraud case when I was working in healthcare compliance and privacy, and they were holding the healthcare data ransom for Bitcoin. And so upon doing research into that case, I discovered Ethereum, and it's kind of just been one of my main priorities in life is contributing, researching, investing in Ethereum. I co-founded a company called iTrust Capital, the first crypto IRA platform in America, so crypto retirement accounts. Later, I was the first marketing growth hire at POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol, Precious Digital Collectibles, and now I am at Obol, been here for a while as a VP of Ecosystem and Marketing, and get to work closely with Kody. And believe we're doing great things for Ethereum and the rest of Web3.
Awesome. Thank you both. All right. Well, let's just be good to understand a little bit about what Obol is, what you guys are doing. And I think you're building, a new product called the Obol Stack. So, however you want to kind of just frame this at the top of the show, maybe Kody, just, talk us through this at a high level, please.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with distributed validators, it's essentially running a validator across multiple machines instead of a single machine with built-in fault tolerance and additional key security through a distributed key generation ceremony. So at the high level, that's where Obol started. And out of that, came many different use cases, whether it be squad staking, which, lowers the barrier to entry for home node operators, or potentially single operator clusters with institutions where they can, increase their uptime and better their key security and things like that. So I think Obol started out trying to decentralize Ethereum's operator set and has turned into not only doing that, but also increasing performance and key security for big node operators as well.
Yes, indeed.
And I can kind of follow up on kind of some of the backstory there. So the way to think about Obol or the Obol Collective is first is like, what is it that even Obol is in general? And so Obol is a collective of dozens of industry leading companies and hundreds, arguably thousands of independent node operators around the world who are collectively helping to decentralize and scale Ethereum. And the first large important product that we've built is distributed validators. If anyone is familiar with, just starting with Bitcoin, right? With Bitcoin, you have to run like a specialized proof of work machine, where Ethereum, you can run any machine, right? And anyone can validate the Ethereum chain. But there are some downsides to doing that alone. And so we've built distributed validators, which basically distributes the validator into multiple different nodes or multiple different computers so people can do that together. And on the back of distributed validators, again, we've grown the largest decentralized operator ecosystem. So operators around the world running machines to decentralize Ethereum and other networks. And a lot comes off from that. But that's kind of the backstory, is a real passion for scaling and decentralizing Ethereum. And that comes through different avenues, definitely including distributed validators and more.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. And people will have heard of, like Lido and platforms like that help enable, another important point is, I guess, like distributed validators are a very important foundation for, let's say, institutional grade staking. I guess an example of this is we hear a lot about, what is going to happen with the various Ethereum ETFs and what role does staking play in the future there, right?
Definitely. And so when thinking about, staking Ethereum, there's usually a few ways to do it. If you own ETH, right, you can stake that yourself, in which case running a validator at home, which very few people do. But for those who are interested, Obol through squad staking makes that a lot easier, and it's very attractive to be able to now stake from home. But not everyone can stake from home or wants to stake from home. And so there are protocols, and there are also sort of providers or institutions that offer staking. And so, maybe Kody can tell a little bit about the different protocols and how they're utilizing distributed validators. And then I can talk a little bit about institutions.
Yeah, so you did mention Lido, and Lido has been around that was I believe the first liquid staking protocol, and they grew to nearly 33% of the network, which attracted a little bit of heat from the community because the main thing we wanted to do was to keep Ethereum's operator set decentralized, to preserve its censorship resistance and credible neutrality, which would keep people building on top of Ethereum. And so Lido actually utilized DBT to scale that operator set from 40 to up near, I think it's roughly 200 now. And, I think that did great things for Ethereum in general. Having more node operators and more homes is just better for the network. And it also, keeps Lido aligned with Ethereum's ethos of keeping Ethereum decentralized. And on top of that, we also run programs with EtherFi, and EtherFi is also scaling their operator set through Obol DBT. And we recently announced a partnership with Swell, who's also running DBT. So a lot of liquid staking protocols have adopted Obol recently. So I'll let Anthony take over from there.
Yeah, and to kind of give color on that is, liquid staking protocols are in the business of having an attractive protocol where users want to take their ETH and earn yield, right? And so we make it so these protocols can have safer, better performing infrastructure. So when their users want to deposit ETH on their platform, their ETH is actually being deposited on Obol distributed validators, which have the best performance and the best security and the highest reward. So it's become sort of an industry standard. And that was the early adoption of Obol. So just in the last year, we've grown from, like 9,000 ETH staked to over 500,000. So like a 60x increase in the last year. And that was initially from staking protocols, the Lidos and the EtherFis of the world, etc. And now we're seeing institutions come on board. And so, we've had an announcement with Bitcoin Suisse come out recently. Bitcoin Suisse is one of the top node operators and staking providers in Europe, as well as many other institutions starting to adopt this. And that kind of will flow into staked ETFs. And so for those who don't know about ETFs, Kody, maybe you can give a brief overview and I guess how you think about staked ETFs coming online soon.
Yeah, it's, definitely really exciting. Last year, I think I had a little bit of, maybe I was too excited and too ready for them to come. I think we got the first ETH ETF listed in 2024. And then recently, the SEC just announced that staking Ethereum is not a security offering, albeit I'm sure that, you know, companies can organize it in a way to treat a securities offering if they decide to do it that way. But I think just the regulatory clarity in the U.S. has opened up a lot of doors, and I'm really excited about stake these ETFs going forward. And I think DVs should be the fundamental infrastructure that they're built on top of because of the core properties that they improve: the fault tolerance, the key security. Because, you know, for institutions, we believe that, you know, that security and uptime are some of the, you know, highest priorities for them, and APY obviously as well.
Yeah, well, that's a really important point. I think that underlining this whole conversation and underlining, you know, the kind of I guess the institutionalization of, yeah, I don't know, not crypto, not Bitcoin, not necessarily Ethereum, but it's crucial that that kind of decentralization of, I don't know, the operating layer or the base layer, whatever you want to call it, because really, you know, Bitcoin is decentralized, Ethereum is decentralized. As you get further out on the risk curve with the other tokens, not necessarily quite so much. And I think that's a nuance that is sometimes missed in the wider community. But, you know, that is a really important feature of Ethereum going forward as all the institutions and so on come into Ethereum. Got to kind of keep that decentralization of the base layer decentralized, right?
100%. Yeah, it's I think, you know, depending on listeners, some people really understand that core property of the industry of decentralization, and sometimes they don't even know what it means. And it, you know, decentralization can come from a lot of things, but at one of the cores is it's how many people are actually running this software in like a non-correlated location. It's not an enterprise data center, but maybe is like your literal home. So no one can shut it down, not the government, not anyone. And our technology is making that easier while also being more secure. That's what we're looking to do.
I love it. So let's talk about the Obol stack then. Yeah, I guess you describe it as a modular plug-and-play framework for building and running decentralized applications and infrastructure. Sounds very simple and easy when you describe it like that, but of course there's a bit more to it. But yeah, so look, anyway, you gentlemen want to tackle this, I'm sure you can both chime in. But yeah, the Obol stack.
Yeah, and that kind of is like, so, you know, when we think about Obol, it's a collective of all these industry leading companies and, you know, hundreds or thousands of operators around the world who want to run, you know, Ethereum or decentralized technology. And initially we built distributed validators, making it so anyone can run high performing Ethereum validators. Like anyone listening to this, you can now stake from home, and you've probably never done that. And it's easier than ever and safer than ever. And it's contributing to the Ethereum network. But there's a lot of other networks, as well as applications that need operators. They need people to run these networks to make them decentralized, because if they're not decentralized, they're not valuable. And we are building the first sort of, so it's a framework, but it kind of also acts as a platform or a product for people who want to run decentralized systems like Ethereum and other networks to be able to run them. And we built this on an industry standard technology that was actually originally created by Google, and it's called Kubernetes. And so we are taking the vision of these systems need to be decentralized, and we are now building a generalized framework and platform that allows people to run any network or application more easily. And that's kind of the tip of it.
Yeah, I think I've been a home node operator myself since roughly right after Genesis. And, you know, my machine currently is kind of duct taped together with like systemd services and Docker Compose files. And, you know, sometimes I'd rather not touch the machine if it's working properly rather than, you know, going in there and messing something up. And I think Kubernetes and Helm is a standard in Web2 for scaling your systems, whatever type they are. And, you know, I'm really excited about getting something like that deployed on my home machine so my services can interoperate with each other more seamlessly without having to, you know, dig into interconnect like systemd services and Docker Compose files. And, I think Kubernetes and Helm is the right platform to do that.
Yeah, so for people who aren't necessarily familiar with terms like that, give us a bit more of kind of like the big vision. I don't know, however you want to frame this. What are the kind of the use cases or the different things that this unlocks, whether in Web 2, Web 3? How does this kind of just move the entire ecosystem forward slightly as an incremental gain? Yeah, what's possible here?
Yeah. So there's two sides here that are really impacted, and the Obol stack almost creates sort of like a marketplace. So imagine kind of the Obol stack in the middle. You have operators who want to run various apps or infrastructure, and then these operators are running the networks or infrastructure that are looking for operators. So you have operators looking to run stuff. You have networks or apps looking for operators. And so I can talk about kind of the operator side. And so again, if Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and AWS and AVSs and Oracles, any kind of crypto infrastructure that you know of, ZK provers, like layer 2 sequencers, if no one is actually running this infrastructure, it doesn't actually it doesn't exist. It's not powered. And a lot of people don't realize that they can run these systems from their home. And what you'll find is that these networks or apps are interested in people to run their systems. But most people in crypto are just kind of speculating on tokens, acting as investors, but they can actively get involved. And so there's a project that people may or may not have heard of, which is DAppNode, and it allows you to more easily run various, nodes or infrastructure and become a node operator. And so part of the vision for the Obol stack is making it easier for operators to be able to run these different decentralized systems and apps. And right now, as Kody mentioned, most operators are very, very experienced, while at the same time having to kind of duct tape their system together. There's no real industry standard way to run these networks. And we're hoping to build the industry standard way to run various crypto networks and apps, sort of how we've become the industry standard for Ethereum validators. And then that also touches the apps and infrastructure, which is kind of the other side of who are looking for operators. So I feel I didn't explain that well. Kody, you probably have some good color there.
One thing that I'm thinking it unlocks is right now, if you think about like the upcoming technology like ZK proving, that is basically kind of gated to people that know what they're doing and have like many machines and GPUs, people that can run in data centers. And I think what the Obol stack can unlock using Kubernetes is being able to be like a home operator, being able to deploy something like that and manage it using the Obol stack while deploying it on cloud in a way that is easier to manage than some bespoke setup that you're trying to deploy. I don't know, that probably didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's my vision for it. Being able to run like an L1 node and then run also a prover on Kubernetes and scale it across multiple machines, because that's what it's going to take to run a prover, and for those two systems to interoperate seamlessly and upgrade alongside each other. So that's my vision for it. Being able to kind of get the home operator in a higher tier, I guess you'd say, because there's like home operators, I'd say there's like mid-tier operators, then there's, institution node operators that run, billions and billions worth of stake. So yeah, I'm looking to level the home operator up at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's really well articulated. And as I understand it, there's like you call it an alpha program that is underway at the moment that people can take a look at. What are the details there?
Yeah, so there's kind of two sides here, right? So if someone listening to this works or is part of like an actual infrastructure network, whether it's a layer 1, a layer 2, a DePIN network, an Oracle, etc., and they're looking for operators, they can basically plug their infrastructure or app into the Obol stack and get access to all of these operators. And so it's very, very valuable for people who have or work at or the co-founder of an infrastructure network or a decentralized application looking for operators. On the other side, if there's listeners who are like, want to start or have already started becoming a node operator, which is like running your computer in your home to validate networks, you can get access to the private alpha of the Obol stack. And so start to run some of these networks and apps in your home and be more self-sovereign. And there's a lot of individual use cases associated with this. So like, the Obol stack is not a simple vision of like, we're building a new layer one, right? Which is like the worst story in the world. And I'm surprised people still raise money on that. Or we're building another layer two, which is a little more attractive because it's built on Ethereum. You have the security, maybe you have a different go-to-market. But the Obol stack touches layer ones, touches layer twos, touches DePIN networks. It's many of them. And so, there's many use cases there. But ultimately, I think that, it's a semi-complicated story. But if anyone's interested in getting involved in being an operator or on the network side, they can go ahead and request, go to obol.org/stack, and they can get involved in the private alpha.
Very good. And all right, well, as we start to finish up just this part of the podcast then, gentlemen, any other websites, social handles, just the ways that people can get involved, what they should do, where they should go, just, shout that stuff out, please.
Yeah, you can always hop in our Discord. That's probably the best place to, join the conversation and also get involved in something we didn't mention, which is the Technique Credential Program. In case you want to become a credentialed operator and get early access to some of these opportunities that we're trying to present to people. So that is a great place to start. And you can find links on that through obol.org.
Yeah, and also the Obol Incentives Program. So again, Obol is like, a very large collective, right? Dozens of the top leading companies in the space working together. And so there is a lot going on. So on the distributed validator side of sort of the community, more than $1.5 billion of stake is already running on distributed validators across all of the top staking protocols and institutions. And we have something called the Obol Incentive Program. So people can go to obol.org/incentives. And if you take your ETH and stake it on distributed validators, you not only have like best in class security and best in class performance, but you also earn Obol tokens. And the Obol token is sort of the shelling point of the whole Obol collective. It's, what is the umbrella over distributed validators, over the Obol stack, over, the future of ETH staked ETFs. And you can earn some of those tokens by staking ETH on distributed validators. And so, people can learn more at obol.org. You can get credentialed if you want to be an operator, or if you just want to earn some incentives, you can go ahead and do that as well. There's something for everyone.
Awesome. All right. It is time to finish off the show, gentlemen. And we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
Sweet.
Sure.
All right, I'm just going to run some questions at you, gentlemen. Just want you to kind of answer them, kind of rapid fire, hot take style, if you like, if that makes sense. So we'll go to you both in turn, see what you have to say. Let's start with you, Kody. The first question goes to you, and it is a bit of a funny one, but where would you say, Kody, that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum? As an Ethereum maximalist, should be interesting.
Yeah, I still love Bitcoin. Like I have nothing. I started learning about crypto and Bitcoin, and have turned into an ETH maxi. Still have a little bit of Bitcoin bags, but other than Bitcoin and ETH, I'd say those are 98% of my portfolio. So that's where I sit.
Makes sense to me. All right, Anthony, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
ETH is going to 10K.
Very nice, very nice. All right. Look, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. As, blockchain builders, you'd be very aware of that kind of thinking. But so anything you like here, let's just say Ethereum in general. Kody, like 10 years' time, what does Ethereum look like?
Well, the Beam chain. Yeah, we'll have stateless clients. We'll have the Beam chain. We should be validating Ethereum on our mobile phone potentially. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have more users. I think at the end of the day, we need to get the world on chain, and we've made big steps in that the past few years, but we have a lot. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, and Anthony, I guess same question for you. Obol, if you like, Ethereum, 10 years' time.
Yeah, I think that 10 years from now, Ethereum is very much around. It's a critical backbone for a lot of the financial infrastructure around the world. I would say that a reasonable portion of the world's real world assets are fully tokenized on Ethereum. Right now it's less than 1%. I'd say 10 years from now, it's probably more than 10 or 20%. I think that there's a large scale or multiple large scale digital identity systems running on Ethereum. Right now, OpenAI, WorldCoin is experimenting with one, but there's many others. I think those probably scale. So between finances and real world assets and real world identity, Ethereum becomes a true backbone, and ETH is far higher than 10K. And a reasonable portion or a large portion of that is, of course, running on Obol DVs as the sort of lowest level foundational layer. And the Obol Collective is still around, and hopefully many more unique node operators around the world, whether they're validating at home or validating on their Apple Watch, whatever works.
Yes, indeed. All right, another way of thinking about this is a wonderful quote by William Gibson, who famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Now, with that in mind, Kody, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a good example of that is Ethereum. People that are using DeFi are using the future technology, and if you tell your parents about it and they're using their Chase app, and they're sending wire transfers that are taking days to settle, and you tell them that you're sending money to your friend in Australia and that took 12 seconds and you paid less than 4 cents on a fee, they get blown away. And I think Ethereum is the future technology we're using today to simplify it.
Yep. Anthony?
Yeah, I'm gonna say two things. So one is like the future of money.
Yep.
I think if we flash forward, far into the future, I think ETH is like a real great store of value that has cash flow, and people haven't really figured that out yet globally. But I think those who are already holding it maybe have already figured that out, and so they're kind of early adopters. Like maybe some people were early adopters of gold or silver or other store values. And the second thing is I would probably say AI is people say AI is going to like change how work is done and is going to take over the world. But I think those, white collar people who are kind of at the top of their career, they're already, knee deep in using these tools and out competing those who are not. And so, the future is already here. If you're not using AI tools to accelerate your productivity and success, you are in the past.
Yes, indeed. Very well said. All right. That brings us nicely to the final question. We'll put it to both of you. It is simply, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or a TV show? Who wants to go first? Who's got the first answer? Fave sci-fi.
Kody? Okay. I would say favorite book is Ender's Game. I didn't like the movie as much, but there's a lot of great movies out there, but for book, I'll go with Ender's Game.
Yep. Very, very nice. Thank you. Kody, what are we thinking?
Yeah, I probably have two. Ready Player One is one of my favorites. And then classic Star Wars is one I've been watching with my kids recently. So gotta throw that in there.
And so what Star Wars are you watching? You like the original 3 movies? What are you watching at the moment?
So my kids are on summer break now, and we're going to go through the whole 9.
Yeah, nice. I'm actually I'm watching just through about almost to the end of Andor season 2 at the moment, and very much enjoying that. It's really good.
Yep, I'm also watching that. So
I guess I got to get plugged in.
There you go. All right. Hey, look, thank you so much, gentlemen. This was really fun. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us today. Yeah, to talk, I guess, all things Ethereum staking and what that kind of future looks like. Just to close it out, once again, just for people that are interested in learning more about the Obol stack and everything that you guys are doing, what is the best way for people to do just that?
Obol.org or on X, Obol_collective. Obol_collective or just Obol.org. And come hang out in the Discord if you have any questions. Kody and I are in there as well as the moderators. And Obol really has something for everyone, whether you're just a token investor, whether you want to run, infrastructure at home, or whether you want to become credentialed and earn passive cash flow for validating networks. We have all these things.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kody. Thank you, Anthony. All the best, and bye for now.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.